So I've been told that many of you, or many a person in general, are actually very intimidated by this vegetable. They don't like us, they do. Oh, they don't know how sweet we are inside. Why, guys? Why? Look at it. Look how cute this is. A beetroot is nothing but a sweet ball that wants to be loved by the chef. I'm gonna show you how to show this thing some love. Don't be intimidated. It's beety time. Drop the beet in. Are you ready to beat? I'm ready to beat. I'm gonna first discuss a little bit how should you cook a beet. Many people boil their beets. This is one of the techniques. You can also steam them or roast them. Now, I have opinions on the three, so I'll share those with you. I personally would never boil a beet because I think it really takes away from all the wonderful flavor and it drains it of its beautiful color unless you add a bit of acidity, but then again, you're changing the flavor of the beet. So really, our preferred way of cooking beets is by roasting them whole with their skin on, and we wrap them in either aluminium foil or baking paper, and we cook them on at least 220 degrees Celsius or 420 some Fahrenheit. Now this process, the length of it will depend on the size of your beets, but let's just say they're done when you can stick a skewer in. So they need to be soft because at that point they're at their sweetest and at their best, and that is when you want to make out with a beet really. Ooh la la. So there you have it, roasting number one. Am I going to tell you how to boil and steam them? Of course I am. Do I recommend it? Absolutely not. But you know, some of you are stubborn, you want to spoil them, you want to boil them, you want to steam them. It's all right by me. Okay, let's move. Start off by washing your beets with the skin on. Submerge in water and scrub, scrub, scrub. Get rid of all that dirt, will you? Now place them in a baking tray and cover the tray with aluminium foil to trap the steam. Placing them in a Dutch oven would also work for this job. Roast in the oven for at least 45 minutes on 220 degrees Celsius or 425 degrees Fahrenheit, or until nice and soft. Take them out of the oven and let them cool down. The skin should be loose and the beets will now be ready to get undressed. Time to get nude, ladies. Now gently but with conviction remove the skins of the beets by rubbing it off. Your hands will get pink during this process, but it is easy to wash them off with some water and soap, so don't stress about gloves. Once they're all clean, pop them in a clean Tupperware. We will get back on how to store them in a minute. First, let's move on so I can show you how to perfectly boil a beet for texture and color. You will need a pan, 3 tablespoons of vinegar, some salt, water and beets of course. Start by peeling your beets, then chop them up in even sizes. The smaller you chop them, the more flavor and nutrients and color you will lose, so I advise to keep them as big as you can. 4 centimeters or 2.5 inches chunks will take about 35 minutes to cook. Add these into the pan and pour over the vinegar and salt. Then cover the beets completely with at least 2 centimeters or 1 inch of headspace. They will immediately start to bleed, you see. Bleeding! All that goodness straight into the water. That's why I don't prefer boiling beets. But if you're gonna go ahead, just boil them until they are completely cooked and a skewer can easily pierce the beet. Once they are cooked, you can remove the beet from the water and set the water aside to use later. You could drink this cold with a few shots of Tabasco, a pinch of salt and some ice cubes as well. Very refreshing and healthy. Alright, so the boiling is done. You now know that that was no fun, but this is if you want to do it the way to do it. Let's move on to the steaming. We do not own a double boiler for some reason, so here is the DIY method of making a steamer with just a sieve, a pan and a small bowl. Fill the bottom of the pan with water, about 3 inches or 6 centimeters of water, and make sure that the pot does not boil dry during the process of steaming. You just need to check every now and then and otherwise top up the water. To reduce steaming time and create an even cook all the way through, I choose to chop them up into smaller cubes. Get the steamer up to boil and then place your beets inside. These cubes took about 25 minutes until they were done. All right, in front of me now I have 3 different styles of beets. We have our roasted, we have our steamed, and we have our boiled. Now, of course, I'm gonna get into a little taste test and describe to you the difference between these 3 methods, and you already know what my favorite is. But I also want to talk to you about how to store these now, because all 3 of them can be stored in the freezer. Just pop them in a plastic bag, vacuum seal it preferably, and they will keep in the freezer for 6 months. But if you don't want to freeze them, you also could use them within the time span of a week. And the best way to store them then in your fridge is by just covering them in a little bit of olive oil, putting some cling film on top or a lid on a Tupperware if you have it, and just keep it in your fridge. That way you can take them out, and if you're going to cook a little meal, you just chop them up, reheat them or eat them cold. Whichever way you like, you have just saved yourself half an hour to 1 hour of cooking. I'm gonna start off with the steamed one. Nice beety flavor, nice and sweet, but I do have a slight aquatic addition to the flavor, if you will. Now, second up, let's try the actual boiled one. This one also retained its color quite all right, but we added, of course, some vinegar and salt to the water, so I'm expecting the flavor to be quite different. Definitely has less sweetness to it, a little bit more of a bitterness. And then last but not least, probably, well, we know best, huh? Let's go for the roasted one. So here we go. This is so dark. This lost absolutely no flavor. All that juiciness is in here. So here goes my very favorite way of making beets. This is with the skin on in the oven, and all of the flavor is gonna be here. Trust me, I promise. It has a pack of flavor. I'm just quickly gonna eat another one. We're gonna move on now to the next preservation method, which is going to be fermenting beets. Super simple, let's get to it. Start off by sterilizing your material, the submerging device, the lid, and of course the glass jar you will be fermenting in. For this recipe, you need the amount of beets you want to ferment, peeled, and 2% of those beets weight in salt. I like grating the beetroot as this speeds up the fermentation process, and these can be enjoyed just 3 days in. I grate the cleaned beets into a bowl and then weigh them. I then multiply that weight with 0.02, and that is how I know how much salt I'm going to need. I will mix that amount of salt into the grated beets and press that mixture down into the glass jar. Lactic acid will form, creating an acidic environment which will preserve the beets and create a delicious tangy taste. Try to make sure that there are no air pockets. Air is not your friend in this recipe. Top it up with 1% salt brine if needed, and place the submersion device in the jar to make sure no beets are out of the brine. Alright, so this jar of fermented beetroots is a bit like having a pet. You have to make sure that you burp it twice a day, meaning that you're going to let the air escape, and you store it in a dark, cool space. Now, once it's nice and acidic, which usually is around 7 days in, if it's warm in your house, could be a little earlier, if it's cold, could be a little later, and you're starting to eat from this jar, it's advised to keep it in the fridge from that point on. Is all that fermentation a little bit too daunting for you, or are you just not a patient person? Then don't worry, because there's another way of using acid in order to preserve your beetroots, and that is the pickling method. So let's get into the second way of preserving, well, third if you count the freezing, and pickle some beetroots. The ingredients for a small jar of 200 ml or 6.7 fluid ounces of sliced pickled beetroots are 140 ml or 4.7 fluid ounces of apple cider vinegar, 70 ml or 2.4 fluid ounces of water, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1 tablespoon of salt, 1 bay leaf, 2 whole cloves, and 5 black peppercorns. First, peel and thinly slice 4 to 5 small beetroots. Then in a sterile jar, place your bay leaf, cloves, salt, peppercorns, and pour over your vinegar and water. Mix well and then add your sugar. Mix well again until all salt and sugar are dissolved, and then simply place your beetroot slices in the pickle juice. Over time, the pickles will become more and more infused with the spices, so we usually just keep them for a couple of months. Here we have the two acidic results. One of them fermented, one of them pickled. This one is great for your gut. This has a probiotic boost, so if you're feeling like you want to do your gut a favor, definitely ferment yourself some beetroot. You can also do this, by the way, with turnips and carrots and cabbage. This is a super simple method, and it doesn't only apply to beetroot. Now, here, this little jar of pickled delight is of course also great for you, but not as healthy because it doesn't have the probiotic quality, but eating a little bit of vinegar every now and then is also proven to be very healthy. This of course also contains a little bit of sugar, and that is why I think this is a really great sweet and sour kick to a salad, to a delicious sandwich. There are many ways you can use this. I always make less of it though, because you wouldn't really be eating this like a spoonful of it. As opposed to this, which sometimes I just snack on with a spoon. I'm gonna be honest, I just eat it by the spoonful, okay? It's good for you, it's healthy, don't judge me. If you like our cooking content and you like what we do in general, but you're thinking, where did I get all this good produce? Well, we grow it ourselves. If you are into the idea of growing your own vegetable garden, just know that we have our own digital course up online, you can check it out. Or if you want to start off small, we have a free download for how to perfectly tend to beetroots. If you want to start with the beets. Salad time. For this salad, you will need 2 bowls, a baking tray, a cutting board, a grater, a spoon and a chef's knife. Into a medium-sized bowl, add 200 grams or approximately 7 ounces of cream cheese, another 100 grams or 3.5 ounces of Greek yogurt, full fat, and then finely chop up half of the chives. Then sprinkle those in. Mix well and then add 1 teaspoon of salt and the juice of half a lemon. Mix again and set aside. Now roast 200 grams or 7 ounces of carrots, coated in a little oil and salt, on 180 degrees Celsius or 356 degrees Fahrenheit. Do this for about 15 minutes. I accidentally roasted mine a little too long, so they look a little brown. Look away, don't mind what I did there. But let's forget about that. For the salad, I'm then using 150 grams of the roasted beetroots, which we already have covered in some olive oil. I sliced them into smaller pieces, and onto them I grated 1 clove of raw garlic. This will add a pinch of spiciness, and it is really great for the blood. On top of that, add the juice and zest of half a lemon and mix in the carrots. Stir very well and season with some more salt if needed. Optionally, you could also add some black pepper here. Chop some more chives and then we're ready to serve. In a deep serving bowl, spread out the cheese and then casually drop the carrots and beetroots alongside the dip. The bright color of the beets will stain the dip, an effect which I love, and then I drizzle the remaining juices in the center of the dip and add on a generous amount of tangy fermented beetroots. Another sprinkling of chives and voila! A festive summer salad to be enjoyed with some delicious bread or crackers. Moving on to salad number 2. Here we're going to make a very hearty meal salad because this is going to have some black beans inside, so it's really filling and it's really simple to make. Let's get to it. The ingredients for this salad are 7 slices of salted bacon, 2 fennels thinly sliced, 470 grams of cooked black beans, which equals 7 ounces, 290 grams or 5 ounces of steamed beetroots, 90 grams or 2.5 ounces of feta cheese, 4 tablespoons of chopped fresh dill, and 1 tablespoon of grated lemon zest. Then some salt and black pepper to taste. Start off by thinly slicing the fennel on a mandolin, and then in a cast iron skillet fry your bacon until golden and crisp. Once they are, remove them from the pan and in the fat of the bacon, add your steamed beetroot and your raw fennel. Toss that around for a good 4 to 5 minutes. Once the fennel is no longer raw, crumble the crisp bacon in a large bowl and then add your beets and fennel to that bowl. In the same skillet on a medium heat, now add the cooked black beans and add the lemon zest as well. Warm these two through for about 3 to 4 minutes until the beans are really hot. Then add those into the bowl as well. Mix the whole together and then chop up the dill. The fresh dill can then be mixed into the warm salad for a fragrant punch and a touch of color. This salad is best served lukewarm, sprinkled with a generous amount of feta cheese and some more dill for decoration.
And there you have it. This is salad number 2 and this is best served warm or lukewarm at least, definitely not cold. Time to move on to the last salad. That is of course our beetroot hummus. So we're going to be making a dip rather. It's a great way as well to get rid of some old pita bread. It's gonna look great, it's gonna taste great. Let's get to it.
For this recipe you will need a blender, a cutting board and a knife and pestle and mortar. The ingredients are 400 grams of cooked chickpeas, 3 old pita breads, 2 tablespoons of tomato flakes and 2 tablespoons of sumac, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 100 ml or 3.4 liquid ounces of lemon juice, 150 ml or 5.3 ounces of water, or if you have it, beetroot juice left over from cooking beets, 200 grams or 7 ounces of roasted beets, 3 or 4 heaped tablespoons of sesame paste, half a cup of olive oil, salt to taste and a bunch of parsley with 3 garlic cloves. The first step is toasting your pita breads. Crumble them up in large pieces you can use as dipping crackers later. Place them in a baking tray and then sprinkle with a generous amount of olive oil. Pour on half of the tomato flakes, all of the cumin and mix that in well. Then sprinkle with a little salt.
In the oven until they are golden on 180 degrees Celsius or 360 degrees Fahrenheit for about probably 10 minutes or so, but keep an eye on them.
In the meanwhile, you can start the hummus. Place the chickpeas in your blender, add 3 roasted beetroots, half of your lemon juice, the rest of your tomato flakes, 1 raw garlic clove, about 2 teaspoons of salt, a generous pour of olive oil, half of your water or beet juice, and 1 heaped tablespoon of sesame paste. Pulse until the hummus starts to form and then season it to your liking. I added a little more olive oil, lemon juice and sesame paste until I felt the hummus was perfect. You want it to be creamy, slightly sweet, rich and velvety. At that time, the pita crackers were done and I took them out of the oven. In a pestle and mortar, I added 2 cloves of garlic, 1 teaspoon of cracked black pepper, the chopped up parsley and the sumac. I pounded the mixture and then added the remaining lemon juice, some salt, and I mixed it in a little more. Then I added 1/4 cup of olive oil and mixed that well. This will go on the hummus as a nice fresh topping. The parsley sumac mixture is nice and tart and is a great addition to the hummus dip. It was delicious and filling, and Philippe couldn't keep his hands off it. Hooray, success!
I hope that this beetroot episode gave you all you wanted. If there's more questions, don't forget to pop them in the comments below, because we will be answering them in the comments or otherwise with a new video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. It really helps us along. And if you want to keep on watching, of course, go check out one of these two videos. See you on the next one. The Farming Chefs, peace out.